Sloppy West Kiss lyric or no? Do you take that lyric or do you keep it in or do you
already
take
know
it out?
Brian's answer.
It's to declare to God back who he is, what he is, and then in doing so to incline our hearts then to be moved by that thing. We're in a church setting where it's supposed to be this community, but we've created it in a way where it's each individual person worshiping God by themselves rather than us. The music that we've written reflects that thing. Music is not merely something for entertainment. It does that thing to you that entertains you, but it makes moral claims and it makes communal claims.
Hello and welcome to the Sunday Huddle, and as always, so glad to be sponsored by Sports World. And today, as always, joined by Brian Hasley. Brian, how we doing?
Excellent, sir.
All right, Nathan Moore, how we doing, brother? Everything good in your world?
I'm doing just fine.
Awesome, man. And this, we're pleased to have our guest, same last name as me, Dawson Neal. Dawson, how are you doing?
I'm doing all right. Thank you
Man,
for having me.
so glad. So I have three wonderful kids. This is my oldest son, Dawson, and Dawson is a musician. He's a teacher now. Tell them a little bit about your background. You're a teacher now in Austin area?
So I went to school at Belmont University in Nashville. So I have a degree in commercial songwriting, which means that there's very few jobs available.
So his dad said, you get one in music songwriting, I'll get one in philosophy.
Yes,
and we'll both, neither one of us won. Neither one of us won in the game.
So that's like jingles for commercials, right?
Precisely. That's exclusively what my degree played. Yes.
Yeah.
No. After that, I moved to the Austin area. And I actually teach at a classical school now, so a classical charter school. So thinking both about music in terms of commercialness and popness, but also thinking about it in terms of the Christian tradition and what it means to be a Christian musician and how we've lost that a little bit.
So today we're going to start off about what it is to talk about music, and we're going to talk about. So I'm going to start off with a controversial question. God loves us. Sloppy West Kiss lyric or no? Do you take that lyric or do you keep it in or do you
already
take
know
it out?
Brian's answer.
Yeah.
I don't. I plead the fifth.
Do you know the lyric we're talking about?
I'm very familiar with that song, and I love that song. And I think he loves whatever song is best for you.
So what do you do with that lyric then? Do you keep the lyric or you're a pastor?
Well,
now this is a hypothetical we've never engaged in.
Yeah.
Let's imagine you're a pastor.
So
it's a really carnal church and you're the senior pastor and they say, Pastor, do we live in Sloppy Wet Kiss as part of the lyrics of this worship song or do we get rid of it?
We go with unforeseen because I like to sneak up on my wife. Way better than the sloppy wet. Am I right? She would agree.
Nathan, Nathan, you are a pastor. It doesn't get better. You are a pastor. Yes. Do you keep the lyric in or no? Do you keep the lyric?
So I don't care either way.
Okay.
But I would change it personally just because sloppy wet, people know that sounds weird right away. Whereas unforeseen, you have to think about it a little bit more for it to be weird. So that's why I go unforeseen.
You do. So unforeseen, sloppy wet. What do you think?
I'm a huge John Mark McMillan fan.
Okay, good.
He was the original writer. He used sloppy wet. He has like a 3-minute video describing that piece that I think is absolutely beautiful of why he chose that lyric. You can't do that for a congregation of 1,000 people. It'd show them that video before you then sing the song. It would create this kind of time.
Well, if I'm pastor, I would.
And I think if you
Lots of
explained it to them, I would say
aids.
sloppy wet. I think it's more, yeah.
I've never been prouder because he guarded himself on both sides.
Nice.
Because you can't show it to the congregation, so he kind of said no and yes simultaneously.
That's smart. Yeah. Just blame the congregation for being too dumb to get it. I like it.
Is that the angle you're taking?
I guess that's the angle I'm taking.
They're too dumb to.
No. They just need to be uplifted.
You're a great teacher.
Yes, that's the
My kids are too dumb to get it too. I say the same thing, so I agree. My parenting
yeah.
is similar to your teaching.
Yeah.
So I want to make sure they can hear you. Get close to where they can hear you.
Yeah.
But so I loved, and it was interesting that the school you went to, we would often have discussions when you took your Old Testament, New Testament class, and we would talk about Mosaic authorship and in the Pentateuch and the first 5 books of the Old Testament. And then I was telling some of the guys on this about, it was interesting on your songwriting that now what the world calls a good song and what we as believers should call a good song are fundamentally they're sometimes two different things, right?
Yeah, they're teleologically potentially two different things, right? If we're going to talk about the end of what they're for, what the world calls a good song, well, what does the modern world think a song is for? What do they think it is for?
Yeah,
That's a Neil right there. That's a Neil. The answer.
So the teleology is the end. What's it aimed at?
What is its goal? Its function? What does it serve the purpose for? What's its highest aim? Yes.
Yeah, and so you learned that there's actually ways that we can, in secular music, there's ways that we can write songs that have that tick all the boxes for the people who want to have their ear candy, right?
Yes, no, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, we'd be taught. You'd go in with a song about, we're in Nashville, so you'd go in with a song about a gray truck. And they'd say, no, that's not good enough. It needs to be a silver Tacoma. You need to specify this thing because that's going to capture something more in the heart of them. We've noticed that because the trends are, we name the truck, we get more listeners. We name this product, we get more listeners. We build these kinds of things. And it's not like solely based on just advertisement or anything, but it's a game of metrics. You say, what's ticking these boxes? What's hitting people in their hearts more? And then you write it that way. And so a lot of commercial songwriting is attempting to do that to us pretty much every time we listen to it.
Yeah, and so you try to take that seriously. You got to take that seriously if that's your aim and that's your end goal. I found a funny story you said of you and your buddies. So you're around a bunch of songwriters and a bunch of musicians, and so you go to these classes and you say, well, what are we going to do with that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and we're going to go ahead.
Well, so yeah, I had just come from a songwriting session for about 3 hours. We wrote what I considered to be a pretty good song. It was deep. It was emotional. I get back, and my two non-songwriting major buddies tell me that they've written a song, and so it's a little laughable. I have a songwriting major. I know what I'm talking about, so let's hear it. And they play me this song about how someone's more in love with their truck than anything else, and it checks every country box. And as they're playing it, I'm chuckling. It's a little bit hyperbolic. And then there's a moment where it hits where you're like, this actually would sell. This would sell perfectly. And like, it's better as a song in commercial writing than anything that I've written. Like, it was the most frustrating realization that, oh, no, this absolutely would sell. And we'd have them play it, at these big gatherings, big parties, and everybody would say the same thing of, oh, that would sell really well, actually. Which is frustrating because they were writing it purely as parody, and we meant it. No, that would work without the parody involved, which is, I don't know, sad maybe. I'm not sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So thoughts on music, like worship music, the purpose of music. What's your initial kind of thoughts on this?
All music these days are wrong and bad, and it's not as good as rock and roll and country like Hank.
I do guarantee you that Brian's most listened to artist is Weird Al.
Fantastic songwriting, by the way, too.
I would have to.
Oh, please don't.
I'm sorry, I was giving you time. Answer the question.
Yes.
Thank you. I needed that. No, I don't like. I am a curmudgeon. I get off my lawn kind of fella.
Yeah.
And so most new songs I don't either know or appreciate, and I think we should go back to the hymns.
Mm-hmm. So what is it about the hymns? Just specifically, what is it about the hymns? I think that's actually, there's an observation there. What is it about the hymns that you think makes it so valuable?
Specifically, it's the quality of the content. Like, it's a very simple, like the melody is usually really simple, and everyone's able to get in rather than hoping on the bells and whistles of certain stuff in the song to make it do it. Like, it's actually on the quality of it, not let's make this sound better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the lyrics are theologically rich and deep, right? Nathan, is your youth group going to go into all hymns next week?
I ordered some robes recently.
That's good.
Yeah. No, that's interesting that you say that because, you assume that most people, if they say they prefer hymns, they're going to say, well, it's more theologically rich. And, which I think there's an argument there to be made. But that's interesting, take of well, it's simpler because it is true. Like a lot of, there are certain songs like modern worship music where it's a really hard song to sing. And I think if that comes up, then probably there'll be a question of it's probably really hard for the congregation to sing too, who are not professional singers. So I don't know. I hadn't thought about it from that side of it too, like the simplicity's sake of why it could be better if we think of what the actual purpose of worship music is to do.
Yeah, we want to be careful, I guess. And I want to talk about. I would do this with you. This, and we talked a little bit about the episode, but we didn't talk about this. Should it be such that we hear each other's voices when we sing?
Well, with Nathan, I can hear him all the time.
Remember, we can say, "Oh, this is what hell sounds like." So if you think hell is bad, if the Catholics were right about purgatory, Nathan sings there, right? So you could do this. This is a whole thing you could do there. Yep. But is there something maybe that is supposed to be communal about it, where we sing? Do you think there's something there that should be communal in the aspect of the way we sing?
Yeah. So we're now teetering in. So we're now not just talking about music as a whole, but we're talking about worship music, which is its own categorical. So the teleology of music, right? What is it for? We've now even honed in on a specific instance of what is worship music for. Well, it's to declare to God back who he is, what he is, and then in doing so to incline our hearts then to be moved by that thing. And so the hymn, actually, absolutely. Communally, we all declare it together. We hear it. I think there's, we talked about this a little bit too, of traditionally in most Jewish circles and most Hebrew circles, the Psalms were meant to be sung. They weren't meant to be read. They were meant to be sung communally together. There's still practices, so I went and visited. Y'all had Father Gregory Pine on here. Yeah. I went and visited my cousin and him up in D.C. and got to participate in some of their liturgical worship. And they sing the Psalms back to each other every day. That one side sings part of it, the other side sings the other, and they go back and forth. And there is a sense in which, like, this is how that was meant to be sung. Not read, but sung. And why sung? Well, because there's something deeper happening with music than there is with than just mere speaking.
Is it the whole we got spirit? Yes, we do. We got spirit.
Exactly.
Exclusively, yes. Okay. But with David, so it's like super emotional and sad.
There's a chance you could dance so hard that your clothes fall off. We just made it biblical. We didn't explain this passage to those of you who think we take a hard left turn. There's a biblical passage.
Hey, I like Undignified. That was a good song.
It was a good song.
That was about where I cap it off of everything post. Then I don't really care for.
That's your cutoff line. Yeah.
I think we don't like that a lot of times, though, of like the idea of hearing, because we talk about, especially in modern worship, we think about like the main things are keep the lights where you can't,
dark,
like, people can't see you, and keep the music loud enough where people can't hear you, so that people are comfortable. And I know we've talked a lot in here about like what is the balance between like comfort and not comfort.
Yeah.
But I think that's interesting with music of like the Psalms, thinking of the Psalms like used to singing like communally together, because there's something super vulnerable about that, about knowing that, especially if you like can't sing or you don't feel like you can't sing, then knowing like, man, the people around me can hear me singing. It's like a vulnerable thing, and maybe that can even be a good thing, right? Because it's us recognizing that, well, it's not about you in the first place,
right?
At all.
Yeah, your note about the darkness is good too, because it is a shift, principally of not that there's anything wrong with us having individual worship of God, me and God worshiping together, but with the darkness specifically, like we're in a communal setting, we're in a church setting where it's supposed to be this community, but we've created it in a way where it's each individual person worshiping God by themselves rather than us. And I would say, sadly, the music that we've written reflects that thing. There's a lot more I's and me's than there used to be us's and we's in the worship song. It's actually a lot more us-centric than it used to be. It used to be to declare back to God who he was, and just how my emotions can be stirred, but in a way that reflects who he is, rather than now it is how God makes me feel, how God does this for me. And I mean, I think that would be reflected of all parts of our worship setting are actually becoming more me, rather than God, and also us, which is, I think, a more important thing of communal worship. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, I also like to work up my voice with me. So I get it.
Before we record every time.
And Dawson's in your head, you're naively thinking his jokes will get better toward the end. But they're not.
I'm a fan of y'all's podcast. I've been listening. I know they will.
Don't encourage this behavior.
Yeah. Because your dad makes you listen to it.
I do.
How did that one go? Yes, that was.
I was curious. Then you kind of mentioned it, like the emotion side of it, and how part of the purpose of it is help us to connect on this emotional level. But I think that's also a lot of people's critique with like modern worship and stuff. And you say it's like me-centered, and that I think stirs a lot of our emotions. So then we have like the weird balance of like, is my emotion because this is stirring me in awe of who God is, or is my emotion because of the way like the song is getting me in my feels, which secular random other music can do too.
That's right.
So then maybe what is that like? What is the purpose of that? Because there has to be some way that emotion and music are connected.
Yeah.
What does that look like?
Yeah, so I'm gonna take a couple steps back, because this is like principally you have to kind of start to define the terms of how we get to where we got in music versus what it used to be. So all art, this is like from the Greeks, the Christians adopted this tradition, used to be what's called mimetic. It means that it imitates or it teaches in such a way that it has like this story arc to it that's reflective of reality. So we would paint something, we would write music to something, we would do this as a principal way to share what this reality that we're working through is. Involved in that reality absolutely is emotion, but famously Aristotle said that we shouldn't give children music unless we know exactly what it's doing to them. He said both politically and morally. And politically he means like communally, and morally like is it forming them in the right way.
He just said you're both failures parents because you let your kids listen to music is what he just said.
I'm going to let that go.
But he really hones in on this idea of it stirs within us. So we know this now like neurologically, but they knew this 2,500 years ago, right? Is it stirs within us something that regular speech, even some other art forms doesn't. So art in general is we as people seeking the transcendentals of truth, goodness, and beauty, who God is. We seek after truth, but we do it in different avenues. So we do it through pursuing the good, and we also do it in pursuing things that are beautiful. And so art is like a principled way that we do this. So music historically was this thing we used to discern truth. We would take what's in our brain, what's in the artist's brain, he'd put it out on display that he might be able to interact with it in such a way where he can learn something new about the world and about God. That was the mimetic art form. As we've grown in our forms of art, I mean, the biggest cutoff is we just stopped thinking of it as something that affects us communally and morally. We just see it as an entertainment factor, which it's not that it's not, but we see it as something that's entertainment, or we see it as something that gets us a part of this like particular tribe. Like I think of like the Swifties or something like that, right? It's this tribe. And just being a part of the tribe is as much as important to them as the music itself, which is interesting because it's not actually about the music itself, but it is about what it does to you.
He just ridiculed Taylor Swift.
I'm a fan of Taylor Swift. I shouldn't say that. I do like her songwriting. I shouldn't say that. But still, like, so we've shifted into this thing where we say, oh, it doesn't affect us this way anymore. It's just this way that I express emotion. It's just this way that I express who I am. The reality is anytime we're expressing emotion, we often have some sort of moral or communal point to it. Man, I don't get why someone would do this, but I'd imagine it's because of this or because of that. We're making a claim on something morally. And so if we're not careful, music, which stirs within us something that no other thing can stir because we're naturally moving people and it does something deeper that, no one really is going to ever, I think it's a reflective element of God in a way that no other real art form is. And so it stirs this thing in us, but we're not recognizing it's stirring this thing in us. So the modern pop song that's completely divorced of God is actually making a moral claim or a communal claim on us, and we're not aware of it, right? So I just really like that song. And next thing you know, it's actually doing something to your heart. It's doing something to your soul in a way because you're continually listening to the same thing, and they're preaching a specific message that you might not agree with, that God might not agree with. But it's couched in this language of it's just how I feel, it's just how I feel. Absolutely, how I feel should be expressed in the musical art form. But it should then say, okay, I've looked at it, I've seen how I feel. How do I align my passions? How do I align my will to my intellect? This is the soul that Aristotle talks about. Thomas Aquinas talks about this. Every bit of the stirring that's in me, all these animalistic tendencies, all these willful tendencies, have to be aligned to the imago Dei. It has to be aligned to who God made me to be. And if me wanting to go out and sleep with anybody, because this is what a lot of modern music talks about, or me wanting to go out and party all night long or something like this, if that kind of claim, oh, it's just dance music, it's not actually making a claim on your soul, if that's the thing that I'm constantly filling my soul with, I actually am going to let my passions rule my intellect or my will.
Yeah, Gene Simmons takes offense to that. It seems to me like you're saying that obviously in all of culture there's more of a performative, catchy type of aspect of what culture is promulgating. Would you then say that it seems based off of that the church also from a worship standpoint is more performative in nature? And if so, how do we get back to the root?
And specifically, which churches are you talking about?
Good.
Yes. And which thing?
Call them out by name.
No, but I think that's an interesting observation. Is that what's happening now? Is that is that the default?
As a whole, the church used to define art. Now the church is like the parody of. You see this in.
We do it worse though.
Yes, every time. Oh, it's Christian rock. It's Christian rap. It's this. We've added our
Creed out of this.
Is it?
We've added our adjective to the thing itself rather than it used to be. We were the one defining what that thing was. And so I would absolutely say we're performative by nature. We're individualistic by nature in our worship songs, and it's not even. I don't know who's writing all of these pieces, so I can't make a claim about any of them individually. But like as a whole, I don't think that the songwriters of worship music are aware of it. I don't think this is something we're talking about enough as a church of, hey, our music should be really aligned to our doctrine in such a way. I think your comment about the hymns is excellent because they are more doctrinally sound. They are meant to be sung communally. You even look at the shift in form. Nowadays, we have a verse, chorus, bridge, which is the most important part of any modern worship song because we're going to sing it 18 times in 18 minutes.
I take
right?
it over.
Yes, but that's meant to be just kind of this repeated over, and oftentimes it really is like, this is how God makes me feel. This is how God makes me feel, which is not a bad thing in itself, but it's the thing it culminates on. What it used to be was you have a singular melody. So the melody never changes, but the lyric each time does. And they actually grow, usually. So like the hymn would grow from first verse to second verse. And by the fourth verse or the fifth verse or the sixth verse, you have Christ's return triumphant. You have the church triumphant. You have these big, bold kind of like, we can sing this with fervor together as a community. The bridge is like our closest comparison to that, but it's hyper me and God, not me communal, the church triumphant. Yeah.
It's good.
I think you're supposed to, when you sing the hymns, you're supposed to skip the second verse, right?
That's what we as Baptists did.
Yeah,
that's right. So it's first.
There's
third,
always like
fourth.
a little bit of shifty doctrine in that one.
First, third, and fourth. Yeah.
So then if lyrics are supposed to be, I don't know if you're prepared to even go down this rabbit hole, but I'm going to go into anyway. If the lyrics are supposed to be like doctrinally sound and stuff like that, then obviously there's lots of debate within the church today, or amongst Christians, of like, should we sing the songs of maybe an organization or a place that is not doctrinally sound as a whole, even if the song itself, we'll take off the table because that's the easy answer of, if the song itself is not doctrinally sound, then yeah, we want to take it out. But what if the song itself is fine, but the place that it came from is not ideal and is a little bit sketchy, maybe theologically? Then
it's tainted roots.
Let's go.
What do we do with those?
So was in Nashville. This is like a lot of where like these kind of hubs are happening, where these writers are writing. They are writing those songs in such a way. I've been in writing rooms where this has happened, where we don't want to get too specific because we don't want to ostracize. So it's not necessarily that they're not doctrinally sound, because they're not specific enough to be doctrinally inerrant, or in error, right? Like that we have to write this in such a broad way that the Pentecostal, the Baptist, maybe even like we get a contemporary Lutheran or Catholic service that can sing this song because it's so doctrinally vague.
Yeah.
Which for an entrance piece, okay, fine, and that makes sense, but they're doing that to sell. Right, so the purpose of their writing is to sell the song, not for the song to be used for the church. And so there does shift a little bit of, we've lost what we've written this thing for. And so that's where I would say, like, I think we should really find the artists in these churches, even if they're not the best songwriters in the entire world, and say, I need you to sit down, write a song. I want the pastor and the rest of the elders to scrutinize this piece, and then we have this as our church, that this is what we believe doctrinally as a church, and then this is what we'll sing on Sundays. It's a thing that you've removed this giant broad scape of it reaching everybody and said, no, I want this to reach my congregation, the people that I have in front of me. It would be a good shift.
Yeah, and it's interesting because you attend Austin Stone Church in Austin,
I do.
and it's interesting. I was there visiting there, seeing you and your brother, and they sang Philippians 2:6, the kenosis verse. He, being very nature God, did not consider equality with God something to be held on to. But they actually wrote a worship song as they were teaching through Philippians. That was it was entire Philippians, the first half of Philippians chapter 2. Is that
Correct.
what it was?
Yeah, it's the entire kenosis hymn. Yeah.
So they just that was this. Then they just put it to lyrics, and it was beautiful.
Yeah.
And you're not going to go wrong there lyrically,
No,
right?
yeah.
I mean, because you're singing back to God His word, right?
Correct. Yeah. When that's like, I mean, we want to shift it. Oh, we don't have anybody in our church that can write songs well enough. Okay. Well, we've got a lot of psalms. We got 150 of them, right? That we could sing very easily, and we might have to shift a couple of things here or there, but we could easily sing those. We could easily sing the hymns in the New Testament. There's a couple of those. It's not just in Philippians. They wrote these things. Yes.
Real question: keep, trade, cut. Would you go with the song of Miriam, Deborah, or Hannah? You don't have to answer that. But I'm just saying, there's already
it's unanswerable.
It is unanswerable. That's the thing. You can't cut any of them because they're the Bible.
There's no correct answer to that. Yeah, good.
I love that whenever we see. Like that's super cool. Like with Philippians, you hear that with Psalms all the time. Like, hey, this is straight from Scripture. But like something like Philippians, you don't usually hear. I think that's cool because I like that approach to the songwriting because we remember songs so much better than we remember Scripture. Oh, yeah. Right? Like I think I've heard it said before that like the most theology that a Christian is going to hear throughout the week repeated in their head is like song lyrics. So then we want to make our song lyrics theologically rich because that's what's playing on repeat in your head. So like Philippians wouldn't be, I could be wrong, maybe y'all are way holier than me. Philippians is probably not playing on repeat in your head over and over and over again just from having read it and having heard it preached. Those are good things. But like music, God created music and does something different for us. So putting those like to music, I think that helps us to do that. The Word of God is what's repeating on our
So what's going on there? Yeah, what's going on there?
Yeah, Joseph Pieper makes a note about this. He's a German philosopher from the last 100 years, but he makes this really cool note about there's something stirring within us that's both before words and beyond words. That when somebody does something wrong to us, when somebody loves us, there's something that we feel that is more than just a physical feeling, but it's something that we're feeling within the spirit, the soul of us. That's before the word. We don't quite have the words. There's been countless love songs written. There will be countless more to describe love because we don't quite have the words for it. And it's beyond words. Those aren't enough. And so music, because it has this movement quality and because we as people are born with a specific personhood, we have the Imago Dei on us, but we can also grow to look more like Christ daily. We're in movement. We are going from potentiality of being like Christ to closer to actuality of being like Christ. And that movement is full of 2 steps forward, 1 step back, all these things. And there's nothing word-wise that fully captures that. We can try and explain it, we can try and philosophize it, we can make all these claims about it, but it doesn't quite do it the justice it's deserved. Music, on the other hand, it lights up more parts of the brain than anything else. It stirs within us. Tolkien and Lewis both famously made their myth worlds. So Middle-earth and Narnia were both made with song. God speaks it into existence with song. Why? Because it's something more closely related to that movement that's happening before the word or beyond the word. And so he says, like, yeah, that thing that's stirring within you when you sing the thing, it's not just the theology in your head, it's the theology that the melody is tied to. It's in accordance with. And the reason it sticks with us is because it's that Philippians song, hearing it sung, means more somehow than just it being said to us.
Well, why? And there's a caution there. I think it's a caution that Aristotle observed, as you said. Then we got to be careful our kids raised in the '90s is the most Christian ever. I think, right? The most Christian song. They listen to all the Christian music, and occasionally we listen to secular music and listen to James Taylor exclusively. And there's a line, the kids will tell you, this is funny, this is indictment on my parenting. There's a line there that says, thinking about women and glasses of beer. And I would say, thinking about women and glasses, and I'd turn the radio down and say,
Coke.
Or water.
Or anything remotely other than beer.
Because we couldn't audibly say the word beer. Because my kids would be permanently damaged by.
I heard a similar story from him.
Oh no! Did you alter some words too? Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I told him, whatever, we're doing it. All right. So I told him the story yesterday. Actually, yeah. My job, I would sit in the middle seat of the bench seat in my dad's truck, and we listened to Devil Went Down to Georgia or Boy Named Sue. They both have a common word in there that is used in that song. That little ears should not hear.
Right.
So my job was I would have my finger, because we had the cassette tape, I would have my finger on the volume, and I would turn it down when that word was coming up. So we're sitting in Sonic one time, and we have windows all down and stuff, and sitting there, and it came my time, but I was a dumb little kid, and I went the wrong direction. So instead of just full volume, stuff that we weren't supposed to hear, everyone heard. Yeah.
So that's brilliant, by the way. Awesome. So some of those are more obvious, but we should be cautious about because there is something deeper that's going on there theologically, and it's something that resonates in our hearts.
Yeah, no, I think to listen to Aristotle in this case is kind of, it feels like, okay, this guy was speaking 2,500 years ago and makes some kind of weird claims, but I think he has a real right point, right? And this is something that I think the Christian West has really understood well, is music is not merely something for entertainment. It does that thing to you that entertains you, but it makes moral claims and it makes communal claims. Whether we like it or not, it's doing that thing to us. And so we should be very cautious as we educate children, as we bring them up. And I say this now as I'm shifting to teacher mode, right? Of like, to not encourage these type of things, even if there's something like, I think of modern rap music, which there's a lot of talent to, of this ability to be a wordsmith in that way is applaudable. It is incredible what they're capable of doing. But embedded in some of that wordsmithness is this these claims about reality that are not true, that if we're not careful, we are teaching our children just by nature of them hearing that.
So the youngest one here sounded like the grumpiest old man, didn't he? He's going to yell people to get off his yard as well. When he has a yard, he's going to be able to do that, man.
Yeah, so I support that.
Man, so blessed to have you on today.
Yeah.
Praise God.
Yep. Hey, wherever you are listening, thank you for listening. We would love if you would just take 20 seconds, leave us a quick review. If you're on Apple or Spotify or on YouTube, you can subscribe there. That way it helps us push us out to more people.
Peace!